Hello and welcome to another Stamp with Amy K Facebook Live video. I'm just out here doing my usual double check-in to make sure that I am live in the right place. And it looks like I am, so let me get the comments pulled up here so I can keep an eye on if anybody's hopping in here to join me. So, all right, looks like everything is good to go and we're set up to go live. So, all right, today I'm going to be, hey Patricia, thanks for jumping in. So today I'm going to be showing you another card made with the Daisy Lane stamp set, which is one of the new stamp sets from the upcoming 2019 to 2020. I'm still having a hard time saying that. Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog. And this is actually going to be available in a bundle. We currently have the Daisy punch, which matches the larger daisy in here, so that's in the current catalog, but there's going to be a new medium daisy punch that is in the upcoming catalog, so I'm happy to say that this will actually be available in a bundle with the new punch when the catalog goes live for ordering. Now, I don't have the punch, the medium daisy punch. I wish I did, but they didn't give that to us or didn't allow us to purchase that in our pre-order, so all I have is the stamp set to show you. So, but we're going to play with it anyway. So just making a little card today with the, again, the Daisy Lane stamp set and the Perennial Essence Designer Series paper. Hey, Christina, thanks for jumping in. So this is a new Designer Series paper that is available in the upcoming catalog as well. And it's a very pretty paper. It's like, it's kind of hand-painted look, and I assume somebody must have hand-painted all the images on it, but it's very, very pretty. So, hey, Karen, glad you could join me today. So, for the sentiment, I actually used one of the well-written framelits dies, which these dies are, it's a huge set of dies, and it is in the current occasions catalog, this set of dies is, and it's actually carrying over to the next annual catalog, so this will be available for you to continue to order, but it is bundled right now with a stamp set that has a whole bunch of coordinating sentiments in it for 10% off in the current annual or the current occasions catalog. That bundle pricing will go away when the new catalog goes live for ordering on June 4th, so if you would like this die set and like the bundle, make sure that you pick it up no later than the 3rd of June so that you get the bundle pricing on it. So, all right, enough about that. Let's get started on the card. All right, I again went ahead and did some pre-cutting and got a few things set up so that you didn't have to watch me do all of this on live TV. But again, this is from the Perennial Essence Designer Series paper, which is a paper that's coming in the next catalog for y'all to be able to order then. This piece is cut to 2 7/8 by 5 1/8, and again the measurements and everything are going to be out on my blog tomorrow, so no need to worry about writing them down, and hopefully I won't make a mess of everything this week like I did last week. So had a few trouble stamping, and then I wrote the wrong dimensions and things on the on my blog, so I was kind of a mess all week last week. I don't know, so hopefully things will be better today. So again, this is actually another piece of that same Designer Series paper, which you can get a little peek of what that looked like, hopefully through the snail. But I wanted the little bit darker, more solid down here at the bottom, and so that is it for kind of the background on the card. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of stamping. We've got some Sahara Sand ink and the Daisy image from the Daisy Lane stamp set. Just going to ink that up. And I think that I mentioned this last time I used this stamp set when I made a card, but make sure that you get one of the petals that's sort of pointed. It doesn't have to be like precisely straight up and down, but fairly straight up and down, so that when you stamp it and punch it, your punch will be in the right position. Your image, I should say, will be in the right position for you to just punch it right out without having to twist and twirl and trim off the extras and all that sort of thing like you might have to do if you didn't get it quite straight up and down. So, all right, let me set that aside and hope that I don't make a big inky gooey mess like I did last time. So again, like I said, if you make sure that one of the petals is fairly straight up and down, you can just slide it straight into your punch and punch out the daisy without too much fiddling, because if it gets angled, then you kind of got to worry about the corners on the paper, and it just makes it a little bit more difficult. It's not hard to use, but just a little bit more difficult. But again, if you just make sure one of the petals is fairly straight up and down, then you're good to go. All right, so let's get that out of the way. And again, that is the daisy punch that is available currently, so you are able to order that now and then order the new stamp set that coordinates with it starting on June 4th. So I'm going to color in the center of it with a little bit of the dark Daffodil Delight Stampin' Blends marker, and I'm just going to obviously only need to color in one because I'm going to layer these two together. And it doesn't need to be real fancy coloring. It's basically just getting the color on the image, and that's all there is to that one. And then we're going to do a little bit of curling with a bone folder on the flowers, just so that it gives it a little bit nicer, a little bit more, I don't know, full look to the flowers. Oops, I just wrinkled one there. So, all right. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is just adhere the flower centers together with a little bit of liquid glue. And liquid glue is sometimes a little messy, but for the most part I use it on projects when I want to have a little bit of extra wiggle room, which this one I do because I want to make sure that I have my flower positioned right where I want it before it's stuck down for good. So it works out well in these kinds of projects, and that's what I wanted, is a little bit of extra wiggle room. The other thing that I do typically with the daisy type flowers is kind of lift up the petals a little bit once I've got it stuck together in the middle. So again, it just gives it a little bit more dimension. I don't know how well you can see it, but a little bit more dimension before you put it on your card front. All right, next thing is we're going to adhere this on with just a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals. Well, it could be one Stampin' Dimensional if you didn't cut them in half like I do, but I'm using two little bits of Stampin' Dimensionals. Stampin' Dimensionals, yes. All right. Thought I put an extra N in there when I was seeing it. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and stick that onto the card front, and then do a little bit of punching with the leaf punch, which this is available in the current catalog as well. So this is another one of those carryover items, and there is at least one new stamp set that coordinates with the leaf punch. I'm trying to remember the name of the stamp set, but of course off the top of my head I can't, but I know there is one. So again, this is a good punch. It's going to be carrying over, and I just punched a little bit of old olive cardstock with it. All right, then we're going to use some little glue dots here to stick on the leaf punches, hopefully, if I can get things peeled up. All right, and I'm just going to tuck them kind of underneath my flower here. So you don't need to be real careful about how you put the glue dots on, particularly down towards the center of the punch, just because it's going to be covered up by the flower and nobody will see it if it's the glue dots sort of hanging off and looking a little crazy. So, whoop. Hey, Linda, thanks for jumping in. And hey, Kathy, I see you joined us too. I appreciate it. So let me tuck the little flowers in here, or the little leaves, I should say, in here. All right, and that's it for my flower. So let me set this aside, and then I will get out the sentiment. And I actually pre-cut this again with the well-written framelits dies, and pre-cut it from gold glimmer paper. And again, just use the Big Shot to do that. And I'm going to add a little bit of multi-purpose adhesive. So thank you, Karen. I appreciate that. I'm glad you like the card. It's super simple and kind of my style, definitely. So just adding a little touch of multi-purpose liquid glue here and there. You don't need to have tons and tons on here. Otherwise, you just end up with a big gooey mess, which I've done that before too, but I try not to, especially when I'm on video. Well, anytime really, but really especially when I'm on video. So, all right, and then I'm going to do a little bit, just sort of tuck this in here. And I think that's right where I want it. Try to get it lined up fairly straight. One nice thing about having the liquid glue is, again, you got a little bit of wiggly room. So if it's not lined up perfectly straight, you can move things around a little bit before it adheres completely. So I think we got that fairly straight here on the card front. All right. Hey, thanks, Linda. I appreciate that. So I'm going to add a few rhinestones around the card front too. Just sort of around the sentiment and the flower. And that's basically it. So we're, the card front, super simple. Just did a little stamping, a little bit of die cutting, but really let the Designer Series paper do most of the work on this one. So I'm going to adhere it to a Flirty Flamingo card base with a couple Stampin' Dimensionals. And while I'm doing that and picking the backs off of these, I just wanted to remind you about the Everything is Rosy product medley. If you don't have yours yet, it is still available, which I'm actually kind of shocked it's still available, but it is. So if you're interested in ordering it, I'll pull out the flyer in just a second here. Make sure that you get it ordered. You can get it through my online store right now, and it's only available while supplies last. But let me pull that out and show you a quick, real quickly. But this is the Everything is Rosy product medley. It's available through the 31st while supplies last. You get this whole list of things included in the product medley. And the only way you can get it is by ordering it now. So there won't be an option that's not going to be in any of the future catalogs. It's not going to be available in pieces anywhere else. So the only way you'll be able to get it is by ordering it now through my online store. So go take a look at that. So I always know the perfect placement for rhinestones. I don't know. I just sort of stick them on, I guess. I try not to be too, I used to worry and stress out a lot about it. And now I'm just like, I just sort of like this one here, here, and here. And I find that visually, to me, I find it better if I sort of tuck them up closer and underneath things rather than like sticking one random one here and one there and one over here. For me, visually, like I said, I'd kind of like to keep them closer to the focal points on the card, and that seems to help me and make them look the way I want them to look. So, but you can stick them on however you want to. All right, next thing is the inside of the card. So I've got a little crushed curry ink, which crushed curry is the actual yellow color in here. I don't have a crushed curry blends marker, so that's why I colored it with the dark Daffodil Delight. That's the closest yellow that I could get that we've got right now to crushed curry. So that's why I use the daffodil instead of crushed curry on the inside, or on the, I'm sorry, on the inside of the flower, the center of the flower. There we go. Doing a little Stampin' with the Daisy Lane, one of the images from the Daisy Lane stamp set, and just sort of stamping it randomly around a panel of Whisper White cardstock for the inside of the card. I'm going to use a little bit of snail. And I'll adhere that down to the inside of the card. And that's it. So super simple. Hope that you like the card. All the details will be posted on my blog tomorrow about it. So let me know if you have any questions about anything. I'm happy to answer, happy to give you more details. But like I said, everything will be posted on my blog tomorrow. One other thing to know is next week, Tuesday, I actually am going to go live a little bit earlier than I normally do. It'll be at about 10 o'clock Eastern time, which I know will be early for everybody who's out on the West Coast. But my daughter has a little, it's the last week of school here, and she's got her little class party that day, and it starts right at noon, and I'm volunteering for that. So unfortunately I can't be in two places at once, so I figured I'd just hop on a little bit early next week, Tuesday, and I will plan to see you all then. So thanks so much for hopping on. Let me know if you have questions. Feel free to post them, and you can feel free to case away, Karen. I would appreciate that if you would. That makes my day when somebody tells me that they like my card enough that they want to make it. So, all right. Well, thank you again for hopping on, and have a fantastic rest of your day. And I will plan to see you. Oh, what color I stamped the daisy in? Sorry, that was in Sahara Sand ink. And I colored the flower center with the dark Daffodil Delight blends. So those are the two colors that I used it. And then the inside daisy that I stamped in here, it was crushed curry, because that's actually the yellow that is in the designer series paper. So hopefully that answers your question. And hey, Samantha, thanks for hopping on. You're catching it right as I'm finishing up. So thank you again for joining me, and I will plan to see you all next week, Tuesday at 10 o'clock Eastern Time instead of the usual noon, and we will chat with you then. Thanks again for joining. Have a great day.